Hello and welcome to the Stringer Podcast number 41. Amira de Vera is on the podcast this week. She runs Project 4PR, good friend of a friend of mine. I met her through Kat Stefankovich because she reps Kat along with numerous other personalities within the city, media personalities, actors, actresses, music personalities. Amira does it all. You can find her on Twitter at ADVera. Advera, ADVERA, or on Instagram at Advera. It's just that easy, Dylan. It's not that hard. KJ and Caldwell, a football podcast live. I'm sorry if it seems like I'm rushing through this, but we just were out shooting the TFC Independiente match for the Champions League, and I'm still, Dylan, I'm fucking cold, man.
Clay didn't wear a jacket the entire game until the last 5 minutes.
The last 5 minutes, then the wind over the south stands got brutal. But it was like minus 12 tonight with the wind chill. It's like minus 35. Not really. I'm making that up. So I'm going fast. KJ and Caldwell, football podcast live. We announced already Justin Morrow, Jonathan Osorio, both from Toronto FC. Two guys I saw tonight will be there. And just announced Kyle Becker and Manny Aparicio. Kyle Becker will be playing with Forge FC in the new CPL. Manny Aparicio with York 9 FC. I know both these guys. Carmelina Moscato, who is a former women's national team player. And Luke Weilman. 4 more people announced for February 28th, live at the Rivoli. Early bird tickets have sold out, but you can still get a seat for $25 by heading on over to afootballpodcast.com. Okay, moving on to this weekend, though, because Football Podcast is on a Thursday, but what are we going to do Friday? Friday, March 1st, the Toronto Winter Brew Fest. I had friends that went to this. Actually, we chatted already about Kat, but she raved about it. The Toronto Winter Brew Fest, Friday, March 1st at 6 p.m. at the Evergreen Brickworks. That's 550 Bayview Avenue. The 4th annual Toronto Brew Fest with over 40 breweries, 150 beers, distilleries, food trucks, DJs, speakeasies. I don't know what speakeasies means. It's like a speakeasy was like a hidden den.
I was going to say, that's like a prohibition thing, right? Like
it kind of is, but how can you be announcing you're going to have speakeasies? You're going to have multiple of them? Games and more, if we want to find out. I guess we just got to check it out. Tickets range from $21 to $56. You can get them by heading on over to brewfest.ca. Dylan, do you think you can drink 150 beers?
Just watch me.
Lies. Saturday, March the 2nd, Murder at the ROM. This is actually, Dill, if we weren't already busy on this Champions League project, this would be fun, I think, as a group outing. Murder at the... Yeah, no, not like that.
Murder me by drinking 150 beers.
Murder at the ROM, 1 p.m., obviously at the Royal Ontario Museum, 100 Queen's Park. Tickets are $40. A curator has been murdered and a trail of clues left behind connected to secrets in the collections. My favorite thing is if you head on over to urbancapers.com, they're very clear that they are not associated with the Royal Ontario Museum. They're just a group that puts these events on. So if you see the mummy in the casket, they're not the ones who put them there. Sunday, March 3rd, a conversation with Ellen DeGeneres. I thought this would be kind of cool if you're able to check it out. 2 p.m. and 6 p.m. Scotiabank Arena, 40 Bay Street. You know, you get tickets still. You got to head on over to Seat Giant because this is one of the hottest tickets in town, but they still have some available. I checked. Seat Giant is a marketplace that connects buyers and sellers all across North America. Whether you live in a big city or a small town, Seat Giant has tickets to pretty much everything heading your way, including Ellen DeGeneres. With more than 3 million tickets available at all the time, I don't think it means 3 million tickets to Ellen. Seat Giant has a distinct marketplace advantage. Head on over to seatgiant.ca. Get your Ellen tickets. Ellen in Toronto at Scotiabank Arena. Use promo code STRINGER and you can save yourself a couple bucks off your purchase. Remember, no one listens to all my ideas. Dylan barely listens to any of my ideas. But if you want to do something about it, I give you a couple of options. First, you can reach out with something that you've got coming up, and we'll be happy to promote it. You can find us on Twitter, @StringerPodcast, or you can email us, if people still do that, events@thestringer.ca, or you can go to seatgiant.ca and figure out your own weekend. They got tons of stuff. I told you, big city, small town, everything pretty much heading your way. They've got tickets for concerts, sporting events, theater, live shows, comedy. And remember, you can use promo code STRINGER no matter what you choose, whether I suggested it or not, and save a couple dollars off your ticket purchase. It's just that easy. We got Amira de Vera coming up for you. She's such a sweetheart. She has a ton of ambition wrapped up in a small little package, as I said, I think with the Tim Thompson one. This was recorded right around Christmas, actually, and it's just, with the lineup of guests that we had, Stephen Caldwell, Christian Jack, the announcement of the Sportsville podcast, and those guys coming through. This one just got bumped a little bit back, but Amira, I hope you forgive us, because I want to work with you for a long, long time. Dylan, there's only one more thing to do. I'm cold, so there's no jokes about this. Here's a sax. Good? Okay. I saw you playing around with the controls, and I was like, oh,
He's
we
just
good?
pretending he actually doesn't know how to use it.
No. Oh, he totally... I can't do it without Dylan. We had someone... You know who Toronto Mike is?
Yeah.
So we had him in recently,
cool.
and he was like, whoa, wait a minute. You have someone to do it? And I'm like, because he runs his controls, and I'm like, I have to.
You're like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Like the 2 or 3 times that I've tried to do it on my own, they've been like, I've messed them up.
Oh, really?
Like one time we weren't recording for the first 20 minutes, so I needed Dylan to make sure things are going well.
Dylan, you're awesome.
Dylan is awesome.
Thanks for being here.
Amira on the podcast.
Yay!
How exciting is this?
I don't know.
This is like a friendship, working relationship that dates
for
back
a long time.
Well over a year.
Yeah.
And it took forever to meet you, and then we finally met you while shooting something else in August.
I didn't even know you were going to be there.
No, not at all. I didn't know you were going to be there until day of.
Yeah.
So we were shooting that in August, and then even then we were like, okay, we got to you got to come in, we'll chat, it'll be great. And it still took us months.
I know, but
right?
I mean, it happened. Sometimes these things don't happen, right? You're like, oh, yeah, we'll do that thing, and then it never, ever happens. So
You
it's okay.
probably know a thing or two about trying to line up, like, publicity and interviews
and coordinating,
media and coordinating and getting times and schedules right.
Oh, gosh, yeah. It's like my life. Story of my life.
So what's shaking? I heard, actually, can we start... I heard something. Let me know if you don't want to talk about this.
Tell me.
I heard you had a pretty fun weekend.
Oh, my sweater party?
Your sweater party.
Yeah.
So we're for those who don't know, we recorded this right before the holidays, and we were like 2 days after what I heard is like an annual event.
It is. It's an annual event. So every year my boyfriend and I throw this ugly sweater party. And so you come in your ugliest holiday sweater, right? And it's gotten really intense because people actually they plan for this because we give out prizes for the best ugliest sweater. So people really, really dress up and make their sweaters ugly. So yeah, it was on Saturday. It was fun. The winner of this year's prize, she had made her own sweater. So it was hideous. It was basically, she had super glued ornaments on it. There was a light, like a Christmas light thing attached to it. It was very interactive. Mm-hmm. So she won. But yeah, it was a festive time.
Shouts to her. What do you win in your home when you win something?
It's actually really cheesy.
Cookies?
Well, no, you get a giant candy cane. It's massive. It's
embarrassingly big.
It's embarrassing big.
Right.
You can't finish this thing.
No.
And if you do,
is that a dare?
Well, no. I mean, you'd probably be very sick. And then we give them a gift card to a Starbucks or somewhere fun.
That's delightful.
Yeah. Then Kat was there. But her sweater was not ugly. It was cute. It was adorable.
I
was like, you can wear this in public.
Okay, I'd like to say 2 things. First of all, classic Kat.
I know.
Right? She's
so stylish.
She's like, I'm totally going to show up at an ugly sweater party. And I'm like, you don't look ugly.
It's not
That's
ugly.
the point.
She can literally wear this sweater out and people would be like, that's so adorable.
Yeah, so
that's
fashion
cute.
forward.
I know.
You would do that. You're
my sweater said meowy Christmas and it had a giant cat on it with a scarf and glasses. I would not wear that in public and be proud of it.
I can't believe you didn't wear it here.
I mean, I should have.
I'm a little offended. That could have been fun. It's an audio medium. It's not like...
True. People could see it online, I guess.
They could.
But it was hideous. But that's the point. Not a cute, ugly sweater.
My second thing is, I wish these kind of events where we like celebrate something that's hideous was a high school thing, because it feels like those were the years I was being made fun of for stuff. But now that we're adults, everyone's like, oh no, it's retro, it's cool.
It's cool, it's hip. It's hip to be ugly.
It's hip to be ugly. And you're like, why wasn't this happening in my formative years when this totally could have helped me out?
Right?
Like I could have rose the social construct
with the ugliest sweater.
With the ugliest sweater on a day-to-day basis.
I mean, we could start a trend. We could, tell high school kids this is the new thing.
Yeah.
Wear ugly sweaters.
We're just, celebrate the weird.
I mean, high school kids don't look like the high school kids that I used to go with nowadays. Like, because
they all look like adults now.
They all look older than me.
It's
I'm like,
freaking me out.
How is your makeup? Like I didn't know how to put makeup on. In high school, like glitter everywhere. Like
I still don't know how to put makeup on.
But like girls now, I'm like, you know how to contour. You know how to do like those highlighting thingies. Like your lipstick is on point. Like I wasn't even allowed to wear lipstick till I was 16.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So like now, high school kids, I feel like no one goes through the awkward phase anymore. Everyone's cool.
Things that, first of all, guys don't even understand. You're like, I didn't have to wear makeup. I couldn't wear lipstick until I was 16. One of those things, a crossroad we never come to, right? But I can understand.
But you know what I mean?
As a parent, you're trying to kind of like retain the child innocence.
Absolutely.
Before you go painting your... And I say that very nicely.
Now I get it. Now I look back, I'm like, my mom is right. Like, I wish I would have been a kid more than like, I want to be 21 now, right? Because now that I'm in my 30s, I'm like, what the hell? Like, I'm so old now. But no, I'm just saying, like, high school kids, they don't look like the high school kids that we grew up with. Everyone is... I feel like they have their life together. I'm like, how do you look like you have your life together? You
brought up my favorite phase of my whole life, and the awkward phase, because I think it started right when I was about 12.
Okay.
And it lasted, well, I'm 34 now, and we're going to see when I get out of it. What was the thing, when you look back to your high school years, what was the thing that you did that you were like, oh, that girl just didn't know? Like, poor kid, she just didn't know.
You know what? I was very... This is really funny. I was very into hardcore rap music. Like, hardcore.
Really?
Like, I'm talking like gangsta rap. And, like, I was so into it. And, like, I don't know. I just wanted to fit in with this group of kids who, like, love gangster rap. And I love how I say gangster rap and not gangsta rap.
No. It's gangster.
No, I really don't fit in. Yeah. Hey, guys, how's your gangster rap going? Yes.
Do you want to study a little bit of mathematics after school? That would be a lot of fun.
In rap form.
But
yeah, no, and I remember like trying so hard. I'd listen to all the music and like I'd even wear the clothes and like do all that stuff. And I'm just like looking back, I'm like, what was I thinking? Like, what is wrong with me? But you find those groups of people that you want to be like,
Completely.
And so you try really hard and you try to fit in with them. But then you look weird and you look funny. So I would say, I guess that I was 14. That was like grade 9. So that was weird. That was a weird phase.
My parents raised 3 boys that were, I would say, very clean cut for the most part.
Good.
But it meant that we had gel in our hair all the time, and we had like the comb over.
Oh my god, that's a style though.
Well, now it is.
Now it is.
It wasn't. As I said, if anything in my high school years was like that's cool now, it was cool then, I would be atop of the cafeteria.
But every guy I knew in high school wore gel in their hair. Like their hair never moved. It was the style.
But the spike became, like, spiked
Spikes,
hair became the thing.
Yes.
And so all grade 9, I had, like, comb over, comb back.
That's amazing.
And then I'm like, wait, I can cut it? Like, I can do something with it now?
Oh, my gosh.
And then I got super excited. There was that. And then, like, really, this is cool now, but really retro sweatshirts.
Oh,
was so my thing in high school.
Yeah.
Like 80s, big baggy 80s sweatshirts.
Yes. Those were amazing.
Now, so it would be like band sweatshirts and sports sweatshirts and movie sweatshirts.
Yeah.
None of which was cool at the time. Like, no one could pull it off.
I know.
I was most of all. But I decided I had to wear it. What makes me think of it as we talk about the awkward phase is you're in your teens and we're kind of all like trying to find her identity.
I know.
You said that you're just looking for a group that you can identify with.
You want to be like everyone that's, cool, I guess. So you're trying to fit in.
So you're trying to find it in your teens. In your 20s, you're trying to kind of announce it, right? You spend your 20s being like, guys, look, I'm a professional, or I'm an singer, or I'm a business person.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, in the nicest way, frontage, I'd say, in your 20s.
Well, yeah, because you were insecure in your high school years, and then your 20s you're a little bit more insecure because then you're trying to prove yourself
and cross the threshold into adulthood,
right?
Which is hard,
so hard. And so you're like, what? Who am I? And like, what do I want people to see me as? And then in your 30s, you just don't give a.
You're kind of like, well, I feel like it goes a little introverted, where you're like, oh, I know what I am now, and the people who are like that are gonna kind of.
Yes.
Like come into my orbit
100%,
and they'll just be there, and the people that aren't, meh, that's cool. You do your thing, but like you live your life.
That's the best thing about being in your 30s. Like 30s is so far my favorite time of my life because I care less about who's in my life.
Couldn't care less,
right? Whatever. Get out of my life.
I don't. It's high school all over again.
I know, right?
I don't need you, Amira.
Move. Get out of my life. But it's amazing because it's that freedom, right? Because like you spend so much of your 20s and your teens being like, someone accept me, like love me, and then now you're like, if you don't want to hang out with me, it's cool. It's cool.
Like I could literally sit at home in sweatpants.
Oh yeah,
and I will be perfectly happy with like a glass of wine,
100%,
and whatever weird dinner, like grilled cheese, a glass of wine, sweatpants,
grilled cheese and a glass of wine.
I 100% would.
Oh,
wow. It's just picking the things that you want in your life at that moment. You're like, I definitely want hot bread with melted cheese in it. I always want wine. That works well. And I could use some Harry Potter tonight. And you just kind of, you roll with it.
Perfect evening.
Right?
Yeah. Maybe that's what I did last night. How do you know? Maybe that was my weekend.
Identity, though, and searching and professing identity and really finding those right connections kind of seems like your whole world now.
Which is so ironic.
I think people who are students of life and students of what goes on make the best in whatever career choice they make.
Yeah.
And so if you can spend your teens not just being there, but kind of witnessing it and viewing it, and if you can spend your 20s like really aware of what people are doing around you, coming into your 30s, coming into the field you're in, which is public relations, that's all life experience that sits in a vault in your brain. And you're like, oh, you do this. I can help you because of this trait you have. Tell me about public relations. Like, tell me why I need you in my life. I totally need you.
Well,
I'm not like I don't think I hit the Amira Project 4 threshold yet.
Oh, stop.
But we're working towards it.
I mean, I'm going to speak more on the side of the public relations that I do because it's very it's similar but very different because I represent people. So I only represent individual talents, because public relations could be anything. Like you could represent brands, corporate, all that stuff. And when I started in this industry, I actually started in entertainment PR. So I was always in this world, and I grew in this world, and I learned about this world, and all my experiences were from entertainment publicity. So the type of work that I do is I represent people and make sure that they, have a specific brand or persona that the public sees them as. And it depends on what they want to be seen as well. So that's why it's a lot of consulting at first, because it's me sitting down with a person being like, okay, what is the goal? What do you want? Who are you? It's very therapeutic, actually. I've had people cry.
I would imagine.
Right?
Because you kind of uncover the layers.
Absolutely.
And rid yourself of the bullshit, if I can say that.
100%.
And you're kind of, in a way, and I say this politely, adding to the bullshit, because you're like, this is who I am at the bottom, but I got to do all these like outside layer
100%.
ways to show it.
Yeah.
But you're really trying to get down to the core of who they am.
And that's what it is, because sometimes I'll have someone come to me and they'll be like, well, I'm an actor, I'm in a film. And I'm like, okay, so why do you act? Why are you doing what you're doing? What do you want to do in the next 10 years? So like, it's all these things that I need to know, because that's what shapes someone's career. to me, saying that I want to be a movie star or I want to be this, that's not enough, right? Like, I can't sell that. Like, why are you doing what you're doing? What is the goal? And, some people are
What's the story?
Yeah, what's the story? What am I selling, right? And some people are very good at it. They already know. They have like a blueprint of what they want for the next 10, 15 years. Some people actually have no idea. They're like, well,
Completely.
I don't know who I am.
Yeah.
That's why I need you. I need you to help me. So that's what I essentially do in a nutshell. And then once we uncover that person's story, that's when I sell it to media. But also now that, we live in a digital world, social media has become a big part of what I do. When I first started, Twitter was the only thing around. And that was interesting because a lot of my clients were like, Twitter, why do I need Twitter? What is Twitter?
What's it going to do for me?
Exactly.
Like, wait a minute. It's Facebook without the pictures?
Yeah. And I'm just talking.
No one wants to hear my
exactly
140 characters.
Right. And it's crazy how much things have changed, especially with like Instagram and Snapchat and all that stuff. But social media has become a big part of that because now, you have this immediate access to, the public, the media and all that stuff. So I help curate what they put out there as well, because that becomes news, for a lot of these celebrities and talent, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I do in a nutshell.
So you said when you started in entertainment, public relations, were you still in the States at the time?
I was here.
Oh, you were here already.
I was here. So I had moved from Ottawa. I just finished school. I studied political science with the intention of
poli-sci.
I know, it's so weird. It's not weird.
It makes complete sense.
It does.
It actually makes complete sense.
Because I always pictured myself either being a journalist, so like reporting on politics, or being someone's communications person, right? So like I wanted to be that person that kind of helps, politicians look good in the public eye. Thank God I didn't do that. Holy, I see what's going on in the world now, and I'm like, oh my God, that would have been...
Well, it's just, you're a firefighter at that point.
Oh, you're
just
literally...
putting it one fire after the other.
One after the other, right?
And the truth is, and not even to go into some of the worst of what we see, even
the good ones.
Even day to day, the
yeah.
problem is obviously, I have a long history in sports.
Yeah.
It's like the referees.
Yeah.
Where no matter what call you make or what side you're on, someone's going to hate you anyway.
Someone's going to be mad.
And so you're always kind of trying to diffuse the bomb that's perpetually going on.
For sure. And that's not what I wanted to do. So I
Really?
I always wanted to be that person that puts out the fire. Like, I don't understand how, like, the TTC people, I don't know how they do their jobs, like, as a communications director.
Right.
I would be crying every day. Like, why does everyone hate me?
Yeah, it's not me, guys.
It's not me.
I promise you, I do not make the delay schedule.
It's like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
So when I had moved here, I didn't know, I didn't really know what to do. So I volunteered for Fashion Week and ended up meeting someone in PR. She was more representing a lot of travel and luxury brands, which wasn't really my jam. But I had been introduced to another company that represents like entertainment clients. So it was they were representing Warner Brothers. Hilary Duff at the time was one of their clients. So like I thought that world was very interesting because I always loved entertainment. I just didn't know what it entailed. So then I interned for them at the right time because someone was leaving. And so after my internship, because I did well, got hired right away.
Was this, and let me know and we'll snip it out if you don't. Was this Pennant?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was Pennant.
No, it's fine. You can keep it.
Okay. Good. You never know, right?
No, I know, yeah. Some people are like,
if nothing else, it's just out of respect for your former colleagues that you're like, well, they didn't agree to come on a podcast.
No, I know.
You know what I mean? So that you were with Pennant at the time.
I was with them for 7 years.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a long time, especially for people our age.
Completely.
Like, nobody stays anywhere longer than 2 years. Like,
I was at Maple Leaf Sports Entertainment, I think, for 9.
Wow.
And that because I hadn't been at any job.
Yeah.
So I started working when I was 12. I got my first in a pizza shop job.
Aww.
And I hadn't been anywhere longer than 18 months. And that's just because I have
well, you were young.
Happy feet. Whatever. I just keep moving.
Everything. Exactly.
And you try this and you try this and you try this and you try this. And that was, I always say a lot of my life was like process of elimination. Right. And I'm happy I had so many jobs.
Yeah.
Because I realized all the things I didn't want to do.
Right.
And then I hit my early 20s and I get in with Maple Leaf Sports Entertainment. 9 years is 7. Like that's
a long time.
Big chunk of your life that's almost a third of my life when I'm only 34.
My entire 20s was at this job, right? Like most of my 20s was at this job because I started with them I was 23. I was 23 when I interned. And it's crazy to me that I had stayed that long because, I mean, I love doing what I do and I loved what I did there because I learned so much. And, you know, there were a lot of opportunities for me to do a lot of things with freedom, right? If I had gone somewhere more corporate, I wouldn't have had the experiences that I had.
Right.
So I think if you're in a good place and you're, you know, you have all these experiences and all these like all the access to things that you would normally not have, it, why not stay?
And
you know,
for me, like so much of life is a learning experience.
Yeah.
And if an opportunity can continue to teach me things
for sure
and show me ways in myself in which I can grow, then I'm not going to leave that.
Absolutely.
Because I'm like, oh yeah, last year I was doing this and now I'm doing this.
Yeah.
Which means the next year I could be doing this.
Right.
And that becomes an addiction almost. Just an addictive, that's not a bad thing, but addictive to growing and figuring yourself out and testing your own limits.
But for sure.
And seeing where you can go within an organization.
And don't you find that now because you have all that experience, everything that you're doing, I'm not saying it's easy, but it is easier, right? Because I always say if I hadn't had all this experience, this company wouldn't be moving as fast as I want it to be because for me, it's not like I'm starting from scratch. I have all these contacts. I have the experience. So I always say if you want to start your own thing, it's good to be in the industry first, even for a little bit, just to get your feet wet and then figure it out from there.
Intuition's a funny word because a lot of intuition is just experience.
Yeah.
Right? Because intuitively, I'll make choices when it comes to whatever productions that we're doing or people that I'm talking to or the next move for us or even selecting a new office.
Right.
But intuition is nothing more than just the sum of my experience and everything I've learned along the way. Saying, you know what? Because of when you did this and when you did this and when you did this, you knew you needed this. Yeah. This is the right move to make.
Right. No, it's true. And I mean, it's also you learn what works for you and what doesn't. Like even now, my intuition is like I know when someone's not the right person for me, and I can tell right away. And then I also have intuition in terms of like, you know, if something is going to work very well, then, you know, I'm like, okay, we're going to make it happen. It's going to work. It's going to be a lot of hard work, but it's going to happen, right? So I think that's important as well.
I've always been curious to speak of the clients, obviously, that you don't feel a connection with.
Yeah.
But before we get to that, how about we just talk about the company first?
Okay.
You're almost at 2 years.
Almost at 2 years.
Project 4
it's
PRs,
crazy.
almost at 2 years. And what I love is we share a similar interest.
Yeah.
Or we have a connection, and that's numbers.
Yes.
Numbers.
This is big for me. I love how you bring this up. It's big.
Now, I wouldn't say I'm a numerologist.
Yeah. Well, I'm not either. So hopefully nobody thinks I am. They're like, hey, read my numbers.
But the number 4 to you signifies.
It's huge. It's like a lot. I mean, I always say everything to me happens in 4s. I was born on June 4th, and every single major life event. And I don't even look at it as a coincidence anymore because it does happen. Like every increment of 4 years, something big happens. Or, you know, I live in a street where it's like 4 and, you know, I see the number 444 everywhere I go. So it's been in my life, my entire life. So that's why I named the company Project 4 PR. 4 is also a symbol of completeness. So I always say that PR is the last thing that people always think about as a way to complete their team. Yeah. Because an actor will get an agent, a manager, whatever else. And then the last person they think of is a PR person because they're ready to tell their story. You know, they're comfortable with that and they're ready to hire a publicist on. So that's part of it.
And that's the side of numbers that I really get into is what it signifies to the brain. And I think, first of all, because I was born on Friday the 13th.
Whoa.
Right? So, like, even if you take out the Friday part,
that's pretty cool.
13 is like a taboo number in like at least half the nations on the face of the earth.
Yeah. Well, isn't it lucky? Actually, number 4 is unlucky in the Chinese culture. I'm not Chinese, but it's unlucky in their culture. But 13 is very lucky from what I heard.
Can be very lucky.
Yeah. So
I'm just going to count it as luck.
I mean, I think you're lucky.
Like we just kind of walked out when we were ready to walk out.
You know?
I didn't pick it, but I think it was first that, you know, kids in school were, Friday the 13th. Oh, yeah. Whoa, you're bad luck.
Do you have a black cat?
Yeah. Exactly. Don't get near ladders and me.
Don't break mirrors.
Yeah, don't step on cracks or else you'll break my back. kid. So I think significance and what numbers signify in our brains, and that's a cultural thing, as we just brought up.
Right.
I find that so interesting.
Oh, it's so cool.
And so you have like numbers like 2 and 3 and 4 and 6 and 7 and 12.
Yeah.
Like these are all big numbers that people have a connection with, even if they don't recognize it, because of what it means to our culture and what it meant to our upbringing. You were born in the Philippines, weren't you?
I was, yeah.
But you have been all over the world. Talking about culture.
I know. I always break into hives when people are like, where are you from? I'm like, well, the short story.
So can I try it?
Yeah.
Well, you were born in the Philippines.
Yeah.
Your dad took a job. You moved to Egypt.
Yeah.
Spent about a decade in Egypt.
Yeah.
Went to California.
Yeah.
And then decided at California, hey, I got a great idea.
I'm scared.
I've got a great idea because I'm in California and there's a piece of me that might want to get into public relations one day. How about I move to Ottawa and go to school?
Wow. Look at this research. Who are you?
It's just brain stuff. I don't know. I like retain information.
That's amazing, though.
No, what's amazing? Like, can we go back to what's actually amazing? You lived in just about every time zone this world has to offer.
I know. I always say, like, like what you said, I have happy feet. I feel like, Canada is the longest place I've stayed. Like, this is my permanent home now. Yeah. So for me, it's bizarre that I've actually stayed here,
right?
Because I'm always like, oh, what's next? Yeah. I don't want to stay here. Yeah. My parents actually, they met in the Middle East. That's our connection to Egypt, because everyone's like, Egypt, like, how does that even work? But then the Gulf War happened. So then they had to move back to the Philippines. But my dad's company ended up just like keeping him on. Their offices moved to Egypt. So when I was 5, we moved there. At the time, honestly, I had no idea what that meant. Like, you're 5. Like, what do you're like, oh, I'm with my parents. So for me, growing up in Egypt was normal. Like, it wasn't... Of
course, as it would be.
It wasn't anything weird. And, I had gone to a school that... I went to an international school, and everyone was from every walks of life. So I never thought of it as weird, because a lot of my friends would be, daughters or sons of diplomats. So everyone kind of left and came, and, I met new friends and whatever. So for me, that was a normal life. But then when I moved to California, I was like, oh yeah, so this is not normal. Because everyone's like, everyone grew up where they grew up. Yeah. Even moving to Ottawa, I was like, oh, everyone's from here. Like, it's funny, because then for me, I'm like, I never grew up anywhere. I just kind of went places. And
moved.
Yeah, so then...
and adapted. And grew your circle and experiences and all that stuff.
And honestly, if I hadn't had those experiences, I wouldn't be who I am, right? So, like, I really think a lot of the experiences growing up, living in different countries, I also speak 3 different languages fluently, so that's pretty cool.
Now, that's not something I'm going to be able to guess. What languages aside? So English is 1.
English is 1.
Dale, I'm 1 for 1.
Yes.
Okay.
Sometimes English is 1. Just kidding. So I speak Arabic fluently.
Oh, of course. That would make perfect sense.
Yeah. And Tagalog, which is the Filipino language.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, so I speak 3 languages fluently, which is kind of cool.
Can we stick to English?
Can we stick to English? Sure.
Subtitles don't work right on podcasts. Yeah. We tried it a couple times, but if we could stick to English...
We're going to stick to English.
Okay,
we're fine. We're fine.
I don't know how you're such an incredible presence online the way you are. And that's what I think of when I think of you. You have like such a dynamic presence. And I'm always like, how does she find time? Because I have to like buy out time to... And I'm not even good at Instagram. Like, good. I don't know what good is.
I know.
But
now it's like...
I have to literally say, okay, Clay, spend a little bit of time, pretend to be creative, and like put something out there.
Yeah.
But you seem to balance it so effortlessly.
Honestly, it's a calendar. I literally put everything in my calendar, even posting something. I'll be like, at 3:00, you got to post this or this. Like, it's just, for me, that's how I hold myself accountable, and that's how I balance everything out. Like, my boyfriend hates this, but like, I always tell him, if it's not in the calendar, it's not happening. Because he's like, oh, we're going for coffee. I'm like, is it in the calendar?
Whoa.
And he's like, that's so intense. That's so romantic. And I'm like, no, but it's a thing, because I have so much going on that I actually need to set aside time. Like, I know it's not the most romantic thing, and it's not the like happiest thing, but if I don't have it in there, then it's not going to happen for me.
You can look at it on the flip side and say that I'm buying out time for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? I put it in my calendar.
But even stuff that I do for myself, like if I say I need time to just like relax, be at home, watch Netflix, not do anything, like I'll put that in the calendar.
Is that relaxed to you though? You're like, I can relax from 6:30 p.m. until 7:15.
It is though for me.
Excellent.
For me,
as long as it works for you.
I know.
That's all that really matters.
It's very
that's just finding a
OCD,
thing.
but it works for me. Like yesterday on my calendar was like, oh, me time.
Yeah.
And it was me time.
And did you get it?
Oh yeah.
Oh, amazing.
Oh my God. I watched like the cheesy, Christmas Netflix movies, like super cheesy ones, and I was so happy. It was the best day of my life.
Exactly, because you bought it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, first of all, are you a digital calendar or are you a written calendar?
Digital.
Oh,
digital.
I find that very interesting too.
Yeah.
You can ask anyone here. I need physical copies of everything.
A lot
I'm
of
always
people
like, is
do.
it printed out? And they're like, are you killing trees? I'm like, I'm not trying to. I just need to hold it for a second.
I'm not a printed person. Like I need everything to me is online. It's so funny because I hate papers. I never print anything out. But if it's not online, then it's not a thing.
Did you book into your calendar 2 years ago that you're like, today I'm going to start a business? Was this in Amira?
Yes.
Can you like flip back and be like, oh, look, on February 4th, it says open your own business. And alas, I did it.
I wish that was the case, but it wasn't. This business was an accident. I always said to people, I'm a great employee. I don't know if I could ever be my own boss. I'm like, I could do things for people and I would do it great. But for me to run my own thing, I don't think I could do it.
It's your job.
I
You
know.
do things for people.
I know, right? So I'm like, how can I run my own thing? And it was this came out of nowhere because it was really out of a bad place where I did not like it was a job that I had after Pennant. I had tried corporate PR and I lasted 6 months, literally walked out and I hated it. But from
process of elimination.
Yeah, from
to be
that.
fair.
Exactly. And then from that came this because I just started freelancing and I, started working for people like Kat and I loved it. I loved it so much and things kept coming in. People kept, hiring me. So I was like, oh, why don't I just, it was my mom who actually was like, why don't you just do this full time? Like,
Really?
you're doing it already anyway. And I'm like, oh, I don't know. I'm scared.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean my own business? Like, what do I do? And then, it just felt right. Intuition.
Yeah,
Felt
completely.
right. And I did it. So yeah, it wasn't in the calendar. It was literally one of the most spontaneous things that I did that wasn't planned.
Kat, we've brought her name up a few times. Kat Stepankovich.
Who's the best?
Stepankavich, however you want to say
Stepankovich, yeah.
Stepankavich.
The person with
Love
with a long last name.
Yeah, amazing last name.
Yeah.
But it's like, I've had a few friends in my life with long last names, and I get like a rhythm to spelling it for whatever reason, and so I can usually spell it better than I can say it.
That's funny.
And I always impress myself every time I write it
spell
in
it
something.
right,
I'm like, oh yeah, way to go, Clay! You tackled that long. I'm a child still. In-game host for the Toronto Raptors.
Yes.
NBA TV Canada personality.
Yeah.
Also featured with Adidas.
Yes.
She does great
amazing.
work with Adidas. It's
Yeah.
such a perfect partnership.
Oh my God, it was amazing.
Between the two of them. And then just, I don't want to say general city host because that seems like general, but she can be seen doing like so many great events.
So many.
That I'm always like, how did you get hooked up with that? How much is that you?
A lot of it.
Yeah?
A lot of it. When it was amazing because when I always say she's my case study because I've known Kat for a long time because we just always used to invite her to everything. I'm a huge Raptors fan, so I've followed her career. But we always stayed in touch. And then when I left and did my own thing, she was one of the first people that I emailed. And I was like, hey, guess what? I'm doing my own thing. And it was so weird because at the time she was like, it's so weird because I've been thinking of expanding my brand and thinking of, like the Toronto Raptors stuff is great, but like what else can I do outside of that? So it was perfect timing. We met up and again, same thing. I asked her, what are your goals? What are this? What are that? We've been working together for almost 2.5 years. And honestly, it literally, she's a perfect client. Like she just, she wanted something and then we had a game plan and then we just put it into place and now look at her, right? Like it's crazy.
And she's an executor, which is great.
But that's what it is.
Right?
Yeah.
Where this is weird. We're talking about her in the third person.
I know.
She's not even here, but that's okay. It's my podcast, allowed to. You give her something and she'll do it. Like you can say, hey, Kat, this is what's on your plate for the day.
That's it.
Have a calendar.
Yeah.
Like she has a schedule.
She does.
And she's very busy.
Right.
But she puts it into her routine and it's like,
Yeah.
okay, this is what I have to do. And she'll hit that mark for you every time.
And the important thing for me and for her as well is that like we always wanted to stick to authenticity. Like we always, everything that we do and we are still doing is authentic to who she is. So she never feels, uncomfortable doing it. She actually wants to do it. She's passionate about it, right? So like this partnership with Adidas was amazing because it's something that just makes absolute sense. So everything she's doing, it's already part of her everyday lifestyle. It's just another great addition that she gets to partner with a great company that does, things that are aligned with who she is. So yeah, I mean, she's, I always say she's my case study because I've seen her grow and become, more than just a Raptors host. Like people are associating her with the fact that she's this and that. And like she's a brand ambassador for, Toronto for health and wellness brand and all that stuff.
And that's actually again, another perfect area is Kat when it comes to health and wellness.
Yeah, it's so
she
her.
is like such an amazing motivation.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I also get to say to her, like, you do all the work so I don't have to. Like, I'm just associated with you, so that's cool with me. She's terrific.
Yeah.
Obviously can't say enough about her. I could blab about her the whole day. How, in those early days, and you said she was one of the first people you reached out to.
Yeah.
I imagine it was probably you just proactively contacting people that you either knew through whatever or had met in the past.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it was. I mean, again, I'm lucky that I've been in this industry for a while, so it wasn't like I was starting from scratch. It was a very easy email being like, hey guys, this is what I'm doing now, just letting you know. And I'm very, very fortunate that a lot of these people love what I do for them. So a lot of them have come back. But even the ones that I, cold email or cold call, I mean, they have heard about me through someone else or they know someone that used me as their publicist. So that was that really worked to my favor, and it still does because I get Kat knows a lot of people, or my other clients know a lot of other people, so it's nice to have those point of references, and that's been the way I've been building this business.
Are you ever brought on board for a short term? I actually really wondered this when I was looking through your clients. Are you ever? It's like, listen, we got this thing. It's launching March. Yeah. Can we work together for 3 months?
Oh, absolutely. And I always say, I mean, I prefer to work with people in the long term because I think your career, obviously, hopefully, is long term. But yeah, I do have people that come to me and they're like, I just have this one movie. I really want to, bring attention to it. So yeah, there are times when I do take on clients for a shorter period of time. But what's amazing is that they always come back. So even if it's only like a 3-month thing, for example, they'll come back in like 3 months and say, oh, I have another project. So it's kind of like they're there temporarily, but they keep coming back. So it's good for me.
Is there like an Amira 12-step process where you're like, okay, we're going to start here, and for each step you get a chip? No. or is everything so tailor-made today that you can't really compare, guy on my left to person on my right?
It's so hard because for me, I don't like having a cookie cutter, campaign, right? Because everyone to me is so different. Even if you guys do the same thing, like even if you're both actors, even if you're both hosts, whatever it is, you're both different. You have different goals. You have different interests. You have different, maybe charities that you support. So everyone to me is a unique campaign. Yes, we might use the same, media outlets, or we might reach out to the same, whatever, people, organizations, but it's going to be different for each one. And everyone also has a different, goal in mind. So some people, they want more TV time. Some people, they just want, blogs to write about them, right? So it really depends. And I don't like to make two campaigns the same just because to me, everyone's different, right? So
I promise I was going to come back to this.
Yeah.
What's it? There's clearly, and we all come across them just in everyday life, but it must be a little more difficult for you just because, first of all, you're in a forward-facing position, and secondly, because you depend on your clients for income.
Right.
What's it? Is there a vibe you get or don't get? What's it like not... what circumstances come up where you're like, maybe this isn't the best fit, or we're not going to be great together?
I mean, it's
sounds
a lot
like a relationship.
This
isn't working out.
Well, it is like a relationship because these are people I work with, right? And they're the people I talk to more than I talk to my own family. So it has to match my energy, and it has to match their energies as well. So for me, there is no. It really is just intuition. I meet with someone and I can just tell when something is either with the personality. Like I'm not vibing well with them, or just some of the things that they want. Like some people have really, really grand wish lists. And the reality is that, yes, I can help you, but probably it's not going to happen in the time frame that you want, right? So there's too many demands sometimes, and it's just not realistic. But a lot of the times it does come with like what they do for a living, because I'm like, I don't know if I can help promote that. Like I've had someone who I think they do like children's albums, and I'm like, that's just not my thing, you know? So it's just not a fit for me.
Because so much of your work is based on the connections you have.
That's it, exactly.
Right? You have connections within outlets and with likely brands and events.
For sure.
And if it's not like
if it's not interesting and I know I can't sell it, exactly.
Outlet, I can't. Well, how am I going to help you? I'm just robbing you of your money.
But that's what it is. And to me, and I always say, and it's funny because I'm a business owner, so everyone's like, well, what do you do like for your living? And I'm like, I'd never look at the money though. It's not about the money for me. Yes, obviously I need to pay my bills.
Coming from someone where business is going well. No, clearly. Because when it's not going well, all I'm doing is looking at that bank account.
No, but I obviously that's hard. But I've never attached myself to money, because to me, money, you can make money. Money comes and goes, but your reputation, your business, the people you represent, those are what sticks, right? Like if you just take on anyone and you have this reputation of like, oh yeah, she just takes on anyone and she failed at this campaign because she just took this person that she couldn't even promote. Like that, to me, that is more money lost, right?
Completely. Because that becomes your brand. That becomes your reputation.
For sure.
That you're just...
taking on anyone.
Take anyone.
Yeah.
And you want some form, and I don't want to say anyone wants to be elitist, but you want to be a specialist in your field.
Yeah, and it's what you're comfortable doing, and it's what you're going to be successful at. Like I have influencers that, come to me and they want representation. I don't represent influencers. I don't know that space, and I don't like really that space. Yeah. To me, I represent people who have careers in the entertainment realm. So, I've turned down a lot of these influencers, and people are like, well, why don't you just take them on? You can start a division. And I'm like, I don't want to do that though. Like that's not for me. So yeah, like money is great because it pays the bills, but I never attach myself to it because I know it's going to come from something else. Right. So, and luckily enough, it's like the rule of the universe. If you're not attached to it, it'll come. Right. So yeah, I mean,
a lot of it. So singer-songwriters, directors, actors,
yeah,
of course,
TV hosts, personalities, yeah. So there has to be something, tangible that they're doing, sellable, tangible, something that's long term. If it's not long term, I don't really like working with people like that because I don't know why I'm working with them. Like, what's the point of us building a brand if you're just gonna give this up in like 6 months, right? Exactly. So that's why I always ask people, like, what is the long term goal? Because for me, I don't want to sell you to an outlet and be like, oh yeah, he's an amazing actor, and then he quits in like 6 months, like to become a mechanic. There's nothing wrong with that, but completely. I can't work with that.
On you, then, what's the long term goal? Because what's really interesting with all your moving around, that Toronto is the place that you call home.
I know,
and personally, even with me, I look to some of the cities south of the border,
right,
where I would. I even personally am looking to expand our business.
Absolutely.
Here. And you have to have somewhere in your timeline written in a calendar.
I do.
Right?
No, and it's, a lot of my clients, their goal is Hollywood, right? So I know in the back of my head that Hollywood is something that's going to become part of this business. But the base will always be Toronto. Like, this will always be my home, and this will always be where everything happens. But yeah, realistically, in this world we live in, you need places, especially south of the border, right? Because
New York, Chicago as well.
New York, Chicago, exactly, right? There's a lot of different. even Miami has, I was thinking
Miami or Georgia, like Atlanta.
Yeah,
the film
there's a lot of film
is
people.
Massive. Now everyone flies into there.
Yeah.
But there's so many productions getting picked up and filmed in Atlanta.
And that's what, so, for me, it's realistically, I need to have my hand in there as well. So, yeah, so that's, that's the long-term goal, essentially, is to have another office somewhere in the States.
How do you manage, and I know you write everything down and you keep steady track, but you're over 30 clients? Am
Well,
I close? Or you were at one point?
Yeah, at one point was over 20 clients.
You were over 20 clients.
I had an intern that helped me.
This is where I'm headed. I'm like, how do you get help?
How do I do it?
Because there's only so much of you to go around.
I know. So I had an intern, which, it was great. She was great, but I felt that I was teaching her a lot more than I was getting help. So that was a lesson learned. The goal next year is to get an employee, for sure. I mean, I've had a lot of practice in my old firm. I was handling a lot of clients. Obviously I had help, but a lot of it was practice of being able to handle all of the clients. I don't know how I do it. Sometimes I'm like, how do I do it? But I just do.
You have to have your brain in a lot of places at once.
I'm very ADD. Yeah. Like I need to do a lot of things at once or else I can't concentrate. Right. I really can't concentrate on one thing. So this job is perfect for me because then I'm like doing a million other things at the same time. But yeah, I don't know. I guess I just do it. It's just in my personality and it's just who I am. But yes, that's the goal, is to get an employee hopefully by next year.
And is that what is the idea, that you bring on a person, and let's say you bring on 2 or 3 in years time, and then everyone becomes a specialist in an area?
Yeah.
Or like where it's like, this is my New York person, or is it everyone, like, is it client based or is it outlet based? Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely makes sense. It's going to be more client based because there's so everyone always asks, like, what do you do on a day-to-day basis? A lot of it is different, but the ones that are the same is pitching to media, and that takes up a lot of time.
I can't even imagine.
I mean, on your side, right? Like coordinating, with producers, coordinating with the talent, like that's that's a big chunk of my time. So if I could delegate that to someone else, that frees up a lot of my time. Even things with like, attending these media interviews with clients, I can't split myself. So sometimes I have to schedule it where it does fit my schedule, but sometimes you can't, you have no control of that. So having someone to be able to go to these interviews with the client, because I never like to leave my clients alone. I always think it's necessary to have someone there just in case something happens, and for moral support.
Or just for moral support.
Absolutely.
To feel like you have a cheering section.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you're the one who's made the connection, let's say, between that person and the media personality, like the producer or whoever, at least you can be like, oh, Paul. Yeah. Like, great talking to you on the phone. This is my peep.
Exactly.
And then they have that introduction.
100%.
So they're not flying blind.
And this industry is all about connections, right? So like it's knowing the right people. And so for me, even going to these media interviews, that's a networking event for me, right? So it really helps the business. But it would be more on a client basis. So back at my old firm, we would have like certain people handle just the musicians and some people handle just the TV personalities. And that makes total sense, right? Because then you can focus on the type of media outlets that are good for those people, and then you can, pitch the right brands, the right companies. So, yeah.
How much of your life is campaign creation versus campaign execution? That's what I would...
50-50.
Is it? Yeah.
50-50.
Because as you just said, a lot of it you're attending events and interviews, with the people you represent. And that's really execution.
Yeah.
But you have to have, like, with all you have to have an idea on what their plan is and what your plan is, and all the different ways you have to execute that. Yeah. And that boggles my mind.
Well, I love campaign creation because I think that's when you get to be super creative and you think of ideas. But the execution part is also very rewarding because then everything that you've been thinking in your head, you're like, here it is. It's like right there. Like even stuff with Kat, like when we sit down and we have our, our meetings, we're like, this is what we want. And then actually like bringing that to life, that's exciting. So I would say 50-50 because you're spending a lot of time coming up with ideas. And then the rest of the 50, you're like, okay, time to actually make it happen. And that's fun.
What are some of the rooms that you find yourself in? I'm sorry, it's meant to be a conversation.
No, I love it.
I am so interested in what you do that it feels
this is
maybe
great.
Like an interrogation. Yeah. I'm like, tell
like
me
a lamp.
Where were you on the 4th of February in 1999?
So, write it down.
What country were you in? What language were you speaking?
No, I love it.
Without having to... or feeling necessary that you have to mention the client. Or what are some of the rooms or some of the events that you've just been privy to that you're like, I wound up here in Toronto? Like, I in no way knock the city. We are host to some of the biggest North American events.
What is the craziest thing?
But what are some of the things, like, I believe that life is made up of moments, obviously. Yeah. That it's not so much... the things we are doing or what we're striving for. It's the moments we kind of collect along the way. Yeah. And these memories that we get to keep with us forever. So you get through, a few different firms and then now your own firm, you get to kind of collect memories and moments.
So many
where
memories.
like, this is neat. I know I am here as a product of what I do for work.
Yeah.
Right? It's not...
Yeah.
I'm no A-list, but I've been able to be privy to things or be in rooms.
I'm sure you have your memories.
Because of the product. It's a product of what I do for work.
Yeah.
So what about you?
So many. I'm trying to think of one. I mean, okay, so this was...
The best one. Like, only one. And if it's not the best one...
You're out of here.
Everyone on Twitter's going to... No, I'm joking.
Everyone's going to hate you.
Yeah, they're going to think you're fake.
You're fake.
You're not.
You know what? I have so many moments, but I think the weirdest one where I was like, wow, this is my life. Like, this is so weird. I worked on that movie Prisoners for TIFF. It stars Hugh Jackman, Jake Gyllenhaal. Who else is in it? Like Terrence Howard, like so many people. And I did the press conference for that, for TIFF. And, you know, I was just doing my job, but there was one moment where I was in this like weird, very weird small hallway with just two bodyguards, someone from the film festival, and then I was waiting on Hugh Jackman and Jake Gyllenhaal, and they had just come in from something else, and so they entered, and then for like 5 minutes we were just stuck in this hallway, and I was in this area with Jake Gyllenhaal and Hugh Jackman, super nice guys, and it was
I remember when we were like having
but it was so weird. I was like, what is my life? Like, I'm standing here and, you know, having small conversation with these guys. It was very bizarre. I just thought of another one.
I love when this happens.
I know, but this was actually a big part of my career, big pivotal moment. But I did the press conference for Edge of Tomorrow starring Tom Cruise, and I headed that. Like, I literally did everything for that because at the time a lot of people were on vacation.
Emily Blunt as well. Was she Edge of Tomorrow?
Yes,
yeah, she was.
She was.
She was like the love
interest,
person.
Yeah. So she was. So she's in that movie, but he was coming to Toronto for the first time in like 7 years, and they're like, we have to make this, you know, press conference perfect. So I had to execute this press conference literally from start to finish, like as in I'm rolling the red carpet with these people. But that was very surreal because we had to hire like 8 bodyguards and 4 of Toronto's police. And I was like, this is so intense. Like, why is this a thing? And I couldn't understand why we had to hire so many security, and then we had to run them through. And I remember his bodyguard came in, the one who travels with him, and everything that we did, he was this Russian guy. He's like, it's all wrong. We have to start over. Because he was like, he just knows like what works for Tom and what doesn't.
Right.
And now I understand why it was all wrong, because it was definitely like crowd control situation. Yeah. So it was weird because we had expected 100 fans to just come upstairs. This was at the Scotiabank Theater. We had expected 100 fans to come in, but I guess someone obviously said on Twitter, oh, someone's coming and we think it's Tom Cruise. 100 people turned into 600 people. Whoa. And that's why we had Toronto police there. But the surreal moment was Tom Cruise arrives finally. Such a nice guy. Comes over to me. He's like, hi, I'm Tom. I'm like, yeah, I know who you are, but thanks for introducing.
At the same time, I guess. But
it's nice,
what else
right?
Say?
I know. And
it's like, hi, you know who I am?
Yeah.
But we all kind of introduce ourselves.
And I love him because I think he's such a huge movie star, but he's still so grounded. Like he spent time with every single fan, took pictures with them, and just everything was amazing. And I never had an opinion about him other than like seeing him jump on a couch like on the Oprah show.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I have in my brain about him. But after meeting him, I'm like, you know what? Nicest guy ever. I'd work with him again. Sent our office flowers the next day to say thank you. Like crazy stuff like that. So that was a very surreal moment because I'm like, I'm here with the biggest movie star and I literally executed this carpet from start to finish. Like that was a crazy moment.
It's like a feather in your cap.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I did this and I'm able to do this.
Yeah.
And kind of when we were joking before about, you know, learning little things in the office.
Yeah.
Everything's personally a stepping stone that if you're not sure if you can do something.
Yeah.
Then if you prove to yourself you can.
I know.
Then it gives you the confidence to be able to go out and maybe try the same thing again. Or with enough practice, do something bigger.
Absolutely. No, because I feel after that event, I was like, okay, I know I can do this. I can handle...
If I can handle Tom Cruise. If me and TC can get along, And his Russian bodyguard, like,
oh my God,
doesn't break my arm.
So his Russian bodyguard, okay, I'm 5 feet tall on a good day. His Russian bodyguard, his bodyguard was like 6'5" or 6'7". He was so big, and I was so intimidated by him because he was like literally towered over.
You speak to his belly button for like
basically, and he was like he just knew, like he walks and he's like, it's all wrong. We have to start over again. And I'm like, oh, okay, so you're scary. I'm gonna listen to you.
So specialists, and we talked about this earlier too, specialists I like someone who specializes in a thing. And that's when, through all these conversations, I've realized, I've uncovered in myself through all the different people that I talk to, that I enjoy people who create things, which 100% speaks of you, but also someone who specializes in a thing where I could sit there and, like I'm doing with you, I could speak to the 6'5" Russian bodyguard and just, like, at the drop of a hat, pick his brain, because my brain just chases down like a road of all the things that I want to find out.
Oh yeah,
because he knows everything. If you're guarding Tom Cruise
your whole life, that's your career,
right? Then there's most things about bodyguarding, like, you know everything.
Yeah,
you are the Tom Cruise of bodyguard.
I mean, it's crazy, and he was actually a really nice guy, and like when he calmed down, he was really funny. But he has to be on point all the time for Tom, right? Because they go everywhere around the world. He has to go to all these red carpet premieres in China, in London, and whatever. So it's very interesting to see someone or meet someone in that world, because then, you know, that's a cool freaking job.
100%.
Right?
When you go to an event, or do you, like, can you enjoy it, or do you see the matrix code behind everything that you're like, I know how this works?
I know.
And
I know.
That allows you a special ability to critique things too,
it's
if
so
you're
funny.
in that mindset.
Well, it's funny because I always say I can never watch a media interview ever again normally, like a normal person, because I'm always like, oh, I wonder how they pitched that story, or I wonder which producer did that.
I wonder that exact thing. I'm like, how did they get in the door? And this is probably not what they pitched them. Like, especially when you see someone who's surprised by a question, I'm like, oh yeah, you lied your face off. That's it, because I'm always like, oh, I wonder what happened behind the scenes, you know? And even events, I'll go to an event, I'm like, man, this must have been a really hard event to go to, or man, they should have had someone at the door, extra person, just saying, you know? So I'm like critiquing it in my head. But I mean, I still look at all the empty glasses just sitting there. Why haven't they been picked up? This looks terrible.
I know, and that's my brain. I'm just looking around. I'm like, oh gosh, like someone needs to go get that right now. That person's drunk. They need to kick them out. Like, you know what I mean? Right. So, but I mean, I still try to enjoy myself if I can, because then you're sitting there critiquing everything, right?
Who's doing it right? Who do you look at that?
Who's doing it right?
Yeah, that you're like, and it could be a personality. Yeah. But someone outside of your circle that you're like, hey, you know what? I take inspiration from not every. I saw Wreck-It Ralph last night. The new Wreck-It Ralph.
I want to see that.
It's a cartoon, right? I'm not really in the animation field. Yeah. But there's always story notes. There's always bits that I'm like, oh, 3 of the producers, they did this great, like they faked it like it was FaceTiming off the top. Oh. Right? And that ended up being the turn off your phone cue.
Oh, cool.
Right? But it's the 3 of them. And then the joke happens because then they cut to a camera that shows that the 3 of them are all kind of sitting beside each other, just with different backgrounds behind them. And the one guy's like, how do I turn this off? And you're like, And they're like, what do we do about them? And they're like, enjoy the show.
Oh, that's cute.
But there's again, your brain, whenever you see stuff, your brain's always working. So who's doing something right that right now is maybe outside your circle?
It's hard to say.
That you draw inspiration from.
Okay, so I mean, this is not outside my circle because it's actually very within my circle.
You're like, I did it, and I draw inspiration from myself.
I mean, I'm the best, so you know, I don't need to look to anyone else. Just saying.
I'm first, second, and third.
I look at myself in the mirror. I'm like, you're doing it right. Imagine.
There's
like, get out of my show.
Right? No.
There's.
If that's the case,
no, it's not.
I'm gonna quit the show because I've reached my pinnacle.
I've done it.
I'm like, I found the person. I can't continue.
Well, she's in PR, but she doesn't do entertainment. Well, she used to. So Deborah Goldenblatt-Sadowski, I'm going to butcher her name, but
it's a long name, and it's hyphenated.
It's hyphenated.
She's allowed.
You're
allowed. Forgiven.
Thank you. She owns Rocket Promotions, so it's a PR firm, and she's my mentor in the business because she's amazing. Like everything she does, I look at her, you know, everything she does personally and in her professional life, everything is just what I aspire to be. She runs this amazing PR company with huge clients. Adidas is one of her clients. And she runs this business so well. She's so grounded. She still takes time to mentor people like me. So to me, she does everything right. I'm sure she has her moments. Obviously, not everyone's perfect, but I think she's pretty close to perfect, just saying. And I think it's amazing that she still, makes time for her family and friends and, gets to do all those things. So to me, she does it right. Balances things out.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I know you have everything scheduled. And so I feel like I'm probably running towards the end of my time. We don't have a you in the corner that gives me the 5-minute signal.
No, I set aside time for this.
That says wrap it up. But there's something that I want to talk to you about. Final thing that I know nothing about, but I think you can educate me.
What is this?
And it's, as I kind of if you look up your name on the internet, you kind of go through different interviews you've done and people you've spoken to.
Yeah.
I see the influence you've had on women in the industry.
Oh, thank you.
And that comes to the forefront a lot with the people you talk to or the organizations that choose to interview you. That is something I know nothing about because, first of all, I am by no means like a leader among women in the industry. I could maybe learn to be one day, but to me, it's never there. Right?
Of course, yeah.
And so I can't understand something that's not there.
Right.
And so I would like to hear, I want to know from you, what's that like and how much of that is a driving part?
Yeah.
Or does it even calculate in your brain that you're trying to do a thing or you're achieving a thing that doesn't usually get done?
Well, it's interesting because I'm in an industry where it's very woman dominated. So I've never, thank God, had that problem of feeling like I was never heard or I never had a voice because my industry is predominantly women. But as an entrepreneur, as a woman entrepreneur, a woman in business, it's only in the last 2 years where you see more women out there doing their thing and feeling like they have a voice and they have a space. And I think for me, it's important for me to be a role model for a lot of younger women, which is why I like to speak to women organization or, younger women. It's actually interesting. I was invited to speak at this conference last year at the University of Ottawa, and it was part of this organization called Her Campus, and it encourages a lot of young women to pursue careers in, maybe male-dominated fields or just any fields in general where they feel that in the past maybe they couldn't have done. So I think it's important for me to speak to younger women to let them know that you can do this. There is space for it because there's been a history of not being able to do that. I mean, I'm very lucky that I came at the right time where there are so many different opportunities for women now. But, there's still room for that. And for me, the most important thing is being able to encourage other women to do what they want to do in life. I mean, it's important to encourage anyone, not just women. But I think because in the past, maybe a lot of women felt like they didn't have that platform, it's important for me to be able to encourage them because I have that. I have that space. I have that platform to say something. And a lot of young girls who are still in university who want to be a PR person or want to start their own business, they've reached out to me and they've asked me to go for coffee and help them. And I think that if you could give back anything with your business, I think that's important, right? And I'm sure you feel the same way when there's people that probably reach out to you and say, how did you do it? And how can I, how can I pick your brain? I think there's nothing wrong with it. I think it's important for us to give back what we learned, and it doesn't take away from what you do. It's not a competition. I've never seen anything like this as competition. I always say anyone can do what I do, but it's what I made of it, right? It's what I make of what I do is what makes me unique. So to me, there's never competition. Yeah.
I've always felt jumping off with that idea. I've always felt that I don't belong in a room, as weird as that sounds. I don't know why I'm here. I don't I know how I got here.
Yeah.
Right. It's because I did this and I did this and I did this and I did this and I worked really hard. But I've encountered so many people that are more naturally talented than I am and or deserve to be somewhere.
Right.
And it's that almost insecurity. I don't want to say, again, I know why I am where I am.
Yeah.
I know all the steps I took to get here, but it's that feeling that makes me need to give back because I'm just one step off of anyone who's asking me for advice.
Yeah.
And if I found like the cheat code
Yeah.
to get me in and get me down this road, then I need to share that cheat code with everyone else. And I don't, again, the cheat code for anyone listening, it's work your ass off.
Exactly.
All it is
Yeah.
put your head down. It's a lot of what you talked about when you take on a new client. It's figure out what the story is,
Yeah.
what the long plan is,
Yeah.
the long
Term,
play
yeah,
is.
yeah.
The long-term goal.
Yeah.
So focus on that.
Yeah.
It can't be fame. It can't be money. It
Yeah.
can't be popularity. Because if that's what you're in it for, you are going to die out
Yeah.
before you see any of that.
100%.
The idea is to know your role, not something I've always been great at. Put your head down,
Yeah.
though, and just do your work.
That's what it is. And that's my, it's always been like that for me. Just do your work. And, if you can give a little bit of advice to people, that's what I always say to them. Just do your work. Just work hard. This industry is not easy. And I always say that to people because they're like, I want to be in entertainment PR. And I'm like, I'm telling you now, you have to really want it because it's a lot of work. I have 16 to 18 hour days sometimes, right? And like, I can never just shut it off. And you're always going to be the first person that people blame because you are that person that executes everything. So you got to have thick skin, you got to work hard, and you just have to never take anything personally. That was a hard one for me.
Not taking things personally.
Oh my gosh, that took me years. I'm sensitive. Okay, I'm a Gemini. Just kidding. But no, for me, this industry is really hard because people will tell you as it is, and there will be a lot of rejections. There will be a lot of no's, and if you can't take that, then this is not the industry for you. So
what's hard for me sometimes is when someone works with me, then works with someone else, and then comes back to me, and I'm kind of like,
yeah.
so you think you can just come? The truth is, you're my client.
I know.
So yes, you can just come walking back. We're happy to get your business.
Yeah.
That's the one. I tend to be very blunt.
Oh, for sure.
And very,
I understand that.
very
Yeah.
forward. And if something ends, and I'm fine with that. But it's like when I see them like working with competition, like I say competition nicely.
But I know what you mean.
Because
yeah.
I think the production circles are very collaborative in
For
Toronto.
sure, yeah.
Well,
everyone knows everyone.
Everyone knows everyone. And you've probably worked with each other on half a dozen things. Or my friends that own production companies have hired me to do a thing on theirs, and I've hired them, and vice versa. But it's weird when you're like, you lose someone to go somewhere, and they go somewhere else, and then they're like, "Hey, can you get us out of a bind and do this thing?" And I'm like, that's the one that I'm still trying to.
Yeah. And that's hard because it's hard to not take that personally because it becomes like a breakup, and then you're like taking someone back after a breakup. So you're like, oh, I don't know about this.
And I think what's helped and what continues to help is the fact that I have, Dylan here, and I have Sean, and I have Charlotte. That then I'm like, oh wait, we're an organization, and they're not working with me. They're no longer my client. They're kind of the company's client, and it gives me like that bit of padding,
exactly,
that insulation.
Because it's not about you. It's never about you, right? That's what it is. So that's how I always think about it. I'm like, it wasn't about me. It was whatever they were dealing at the time, and I can't take it personally. It's hard, but it's something you learn every day.
If we learn anything, first off, it's try new things, kids. It's fun.
Yes.
It's work your tail off. It's
don't take things personally.
Don't take things personally, even though we're all going to, because we're all creative spirits, and that's where it kind of gets
too
us.
Sensitive.
And hey, fucking numbers are cool.
Yeah, that was 4. Did you see that? Bam!
Oh my goodness!
Drop the
she
mic.
Sees everything.
Everything.
On that note, I don't think there's a better time to end this. I hope you come back.
This was so much fun. I'd love to come back. Yes.
Okay.
Can we, Ashley?
I would love to do
I will put it in my calendar.
Like literally, we're gonna like stop this and start the next one, and we're just gonna roll. No, I'm joking.
No,
I'm gonna let you go. This is only in your calendar. I like to end things the same way with every podcast. So from myself, from Amira, thank you for coming in.
Thank you for
having
me.
From Dylan, who's
Thanks,
technically
Dylan.
producing. He's technically produced. No, Dylan's amazing. Technical producer. Charlotte, obviously, who you're in communication with. She's amazing. And Luca, who's cutting this afterwards. We all say
hi,
thanks.
Luca.
Everyone, please be good to yourself.
And eat your vegetables.
Now. Schedule it.